on this one. And I was listening to the mortuary workers. They say they don't have official stats, but certainly the number of bodies coming to them seem to be increasing. The strike has been ongoing for about a week now, so you can only imagine what is happening. Patients who come and, have to go back home, who might not be able to return or have that strength to return, and we don't know what will happen or what happens once they get back home. How do you situate everything that's happened over the last week?
Thank you very much, Helen. And a good morning to lawyer, doctor, and medical doctor. Maybe soon we should also go. I'll look for an honoring doctorate so that
so that we can call you Dr. Sarpong.
But Helen, it's a very sad situation. At least to say, it's a situation that nobody would pray that it does happen. But I mean, this is how we find ourselves, and this is where we find ourselves. And it's unfortunate that we allow emotions to draw us into certain arena where we could have allowed our conscience and posterity to help us walk through. See, you asked a very sensitive question when you were talking to Dog, and that has to do with the legality of the strike action. And Dog was quoting from Act 2003, Act 651. If you read the section 162, all right, the 123, it talks about the procedures that the essential service providers would have to go through when they want to take an industrial action. Now, when you come down to look at the interpretation, that is from the sections 175, where it gives definitions to some of these wordings or terminologies. Essential service providers are described as industrial players whose industrial action could lead to a loss of life, whether fully or partially. Because, I mean, and in Ghana, we know the essential service providers. We cannot take away our nurses. We are in this part of the world where from emergency department, let me even start from the reception of a hospital or a clinic to the emergency to the primary care, is all provided by nurses. There are some of the facilities that, Helen, you wouldn't find a doctor.
So the nurses will handle everything?
The nurses handles everything.
From taking your vitals, all of that?
I did my national service in a health facility those days. We struggled to get a physician assistant to come to our facility. It was the nurses. They took charge of everything. And in fact, in Ghana here, some nurses, please, the doctors, pardon me, some of the nurses are much more experienced when it comes to provision of the primary health care than the doctors. Some of the doctors, the young doctors, with their doctor, they can't even find veins. That's the truth. And it's the nurses that provide these services.
Have you had that experience before?
Oh, I'm talking from experience. The doctors struggle. You know, the nurses, when they are on holidays and they go for these clinicals and stuff, some of them are taken to interior places, the villages. And that place, there is no doctor there. So you learn how to stitch, you learn how to find veins, you learn how to do everything that a medical doctor is the one who's supposed to be doing. And so if you look at even some of the private hospitals, the doctors are always in tie and suit. They go, they take care of you, they sit by their computer, they put everything in there, and the nurses take care of the rest, practically. So we cannot, for any reason, downplay the importance of the nurses and midwives in the provision of healthcare in our system. But then, they should not also take advantage of that and allow us lose lives. Sure. When I was going through the collective agreements that they had gone through and they submitted to their employers, some of the things that were stated in saddened my heart. And so I was trying to dig to see if I would get a nurse's, one nurse's salary pay slip to check. I'm told they are not even giving clothing allowance. And I wonder if that is true. If they themselves are those buying their uniforms, then we should do something about it. They have something they call the scraps, right? The one they wear to the theaters and other things. If there are those who go out there to buy them, then we ought as a nation to at least support them in these areas. I said to Ellen, I don't know where you did your national service, but there are some of the places nurses and teachers are posted to that in your state now, if you're a teacher and they post you to those areas, you won't go. All right? Because if you are supposed to be there for the next 5 years of your life, the only person you can ever see who maybe be able to match your standard of a boyfriend you would want probably is the son of the chief. I have been to interior places. I have worked in some of these villages. And we have people like the nurses and the teachers and security personnel like the police who are posted into these areas and they serve this nation with their whole heart. Some have their families in nearby cities. Okay, so you post them to a village, they bring their families. Let's say if they are in, I'll use the areas I know, maybe in Ancestral, all right? They will come and settle their families in Doma. Okay, so on weekends, they are able to meet their families. Because they don't have access to internet, no stable telecommunication network. Some of the places are now getting electricity. No better housing facility. We appreciate their sacrifice. But is this the way to go? And you see, they should also at a point appreciate the country for what we do for them. Doc made a profound statement. I know that after the show, the nurses and teachers will come after us, or it's part of service. During the campaign, when the NDC and the NPP were making noise about nursing and teacher trainee allowances and the restoration of it, I think I sat where I am seated. And I said that we should not be hypocritical about the payment or restoration of nursing and teacher training allowances. Why? Because it is not sustainable. I did very simple mathematics. If we have about 10,000 nursing trainees, and we are paying them an allowance of 500 Ghana cedis a month. That is 5 million a month. By 12 is 60 million. What's the allowances now calculating 100 and say?
For uniform allowance and fuel allowance, 121 million.
Per annum?
Yes.
121 million. The allowances we pay to these trainees, 60 million. Is that not half?
So we should slash that, you say?
We pay them to go to school. We are all students. After secondary school, you choose where you want to go. I want to read business and administration. I want to read medicine. You, GIG, to read journalism. Doc decided to go and read economics. You know, in the olden days, they go and read economics. When they're about finishing, then they read law. I don't know that combination, unless, Doc, you did a different one.
I'm a geographer.
A geographer. You ask him what he's doing in the law practice. You know, and at the, we pay our school fees. My brother is at Tamale Technical University. He took students' loan, those times Senate. And I remember the two individuals that guaranteed for him. Why do we not make these loan facilities available to these trainees? We make it available to them. They access it to pay their fees, access it to buy their books. When they are done with school and we post them, they pay back. Just like any other person.
Right.
So that at the end of the day, we ring fence these resources and then give them a better condition of service. You don't expect me to look for money to pay for you to be trained, then you are out of school and expect to get the same conditions of service like the individuals who took care of themselves in school. President Kufuor introducing the allowances was just one thing, to encourage intake.
And that is what has now snowballed into being part and parcel.
It has now become like it's some as
a right.
A right. And politicians have taken advantage of that. And we are being hypocrites. Why should we pay for somebody to go to school?
So you agree with Dr. Koba? He says it's a political football that we've been playing all this while.
Movement for Change stated it. That it shouldn't even be on the table for discussion.
You didn't bring your yellow Bible today?
It's in my car. I was a bit late, so I was rushing. Shadrach was on my nerves. So where are you? Where are you? So I think I left it. But I have a copy on my phone. You see, Doc, we have to call a spade a spade. You want to go and read, you want to be a nurse. I want to be a banker. I want to be a police officer. We've all gone to school. You want to be a nurse or a teacher, you want to be given an allowance to go and study. Then the rest of us, we are all going to serve the same nation. I should go and take a loan. Then when we are done, I am paying my loan. You are not doing anything. You are taking your money. And you want to be given the same conditions as well. We appreciate their sacrifices. But I think that if we are able to rechannel the resources we pay them as allowances, we will be able to give them better conditions. And you see, the delay of the implementation of the collective agreement, it is just because we are pleading with them to get back to work.
Right.
But they caused their own delay.
You say with what was going on with the court action.
You signed the thing in May 2024. Your own internal wranglings was what caused the delay for 7 months. 6 to 7 months. You had the patience to deal with your internal wranglings in court. In January, you got judgment from the court. And there and then you want the new managers of the economy.
You want them to exercise that same patience that they had to go through the rigors of their court action.
Helen, do you not agree with me? Do you not agree with me?
I'm just here to facilitate the conversation.
But you're a Ghanaian. Tomorrow when mommy calls you and tells you that there is no nurse to attend to her, you'll be worried.
Absolutely.
So it's a conversation for all of us to take part. But do you not agree with us that if you've been able to wait in court for 6 to 7 months and a new manager has taken over the economy that needed about 3 to 4 months to settle down, to form a government, you think that they do not deserve some little time after they have settled to be able to deal with your matters? And no manager, let's be practical. If you have new managers for Media General today, and there was an issue with your HR department, and there is a new collective agreement, and the time of implementation, there is a change management, and the new managers come, do you think that they would just holistically pick the new collective agreement without going through it, without inviting you to a roundtable discussion and just sign? You think that is possible?
Say time is needed. This government needs time to peruse the documentation
Absolutely.
and factor that into their economic
to
plans.
study what is on the table, all right? Understand the elements that went into informing these decisions, whether or not it is sustainable, and where to even find the funds to be able to push it. And so if they have agreed, they have called you for a discussion, you see, the body language and the responsiveness of the managers matters a lot in these kind of discussions.
What do you make of government's posturing then?
I think that the Minister for Health has exhibited some very high sense of responsibility. All right. Agreeing and accepting the fact that indeed what they have stated in the collective agreements, they do deserve it. And he has made it public. The Ghana Health Services Director General has made it public, indeed. And every single Ghanaian, well, I sat here, I said that if indeed they are buying their uniforms, it is in bad faith. The government should be able to do that for them.
Right.
So we agree with them. We appreciate whatever they are doing. All right. And of course, you know, funny enough, I worked in a rural bank before. And those days when they were taking the allowances, they had this back pay that, you know, used to come sometimes 6 months when you're in there, then bulk comes. And so growing up, almost all my colleagues married nurses.
See.
It's the safest job because she closes at 2. So you would always come home to fresh food. So we actually appreciate their efforts, both at home and in the offices.
Thank you for
but
that.
But they would have to at least
Thank you for that.
adhere to some of the calls we
Thank
make.
you for that, Dr.